Hello, BookTube. Welcome back to the History Shelf in the History Archive at the library. Yes, I'm here to do a book haul of epic proportions, penultimate proportions, as it were, because this is the second to largest HamiltonBook.com book haul that I have done. We're talking 19 books here. Let me just show you. See that number? Items shipped. 19. And yes, they were back in March, but I'm saving them for you guys. My last video, I described why. I thought we were moving pretty soon, so I thought, why am I unboxing these and finding shelf space when we're going to be moving to a new house? Well, pumping the brakes a little bit on that, as you know from my last video, but I have a box full of books here. So I'm not going to read descriptions for every single one because I cannot do an hour video. I can't do a 50. The last damn video was 46 minutes. I don't know what it is, guys. I guess I'm just, too lazy to break these things up into 20 minutes each. But again, I think I lose viewers when I do parts 2 and 3 and whatever. So we're going to do one video. Okay? Are you guys ready for this penultimate book haul? Yes, I am. Okay, here we go. Let's see if the lighting's better. Benjamin Franklin, The Religious Life of a Founding Father by Thomas S. Kidd. I think it's pretty straightforward. I haven't read anything about, I know he was a deist, but as Thomas Kidd reveals, deist writers influenced Franklin's beliefs, to be sure, but devout Christians in his life, like George Whitefield, his parents and his sister Jane, kept him tethered to the Calvinist creed of his Puritan upbringing. So this will be interesting. I've read another book by Thomas Kidd. He wrote a book on George Whitefield, the great evangelist preacher. He also wrote a book on Patrick Henry, First Among Patriots. So I've been wanting this for a while, and it showed up on Hamilton Book. Love Hamilton Book. This is a Yale University Press book, and I got it for cheap. According to this, I love being able to tell you guys in case you want to go check it out yourself. $3.95. $3.95 for that hardcover, brand new. Okay. Ooh, here's another one I've been wanting to get. Been seeing this one everywhere. This is The Impeachers, The Trial of Andrew Johnson and the Dream of a Just Nation by Brenda Wineapple. Blurbed by such people as Ron Chernow and John Meacham. I've read another book came out in the last 5 to 7 years, I think, on Andrew Johnson and his impeachment. And it wasn't this, obviously it wasn't this one. This one's new. I think I have it somewhere. It might have been one of the books I've already packed, but I've already read a book about the impeachment, but this one I've been hearing rave reviews about everywhere. So yeah, I love this inside. Beautiful. It says America's first presidential impeachment. Prize-winning author tells the story of the efforts by heroic citizens to preserve the victories of the Civil War by removing a bigoted president who ruled as if he were a king. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And the Impeachers, that was $7.95. All right. Let's see. All right, so this book, this is soft cover. I had tried buying this years ago, used, and it was one of my used buying experiences that didn't turn out very well. The book was a broken spine and falling apart, so I kind of just, donated it or moved it down the line. So, and I just thought, well, if I think about it again, I'll look for it again at another time. Well, it came up on Hamilton. Brand new book, another Yale University Press beauty. This is The Literary Churchill by Jonathan Rose. It's author, reader, actor. So I was able to get an undamaged version. Very, just beautiful, brand new. Doesn't even have remainder marks. You know what I'm saying? This one I got for $6.95 at Hamilton. Great back cover there. And this includes all of his, you know, he's a great writer. I have his complete sets, which are in storage now. That's one thing about being in between moving. It's like when I want to have access to my books, quick and easy access, a lot of them are gone. So, okay, stray hair. Okay, I can't deal with it. I gotta get a haircut. I'm going to. This striking portrait of Churchill reveals the profound influence of literature and theater on the life he composed for himself, his own writings, his political agenda, and the critical decisions he made during the Second World War. This book came out, God, this is just a pristine, it's brand new for $7, came out in 2014. So I was really happy to finally get this again, because I was really bummed when I got the used edition and it was just completely jacked. Of course, they gave me a refund, but it's like I still wanted a book I could use, you know? Oh, I'm excited for this one because I want to know more about this organization, this association, this secret society. And maybe Jason Harrigan can fill me in, or anyone else who knows about this. But this is the Freemasons, A History of the World's Most Powerful Secret Society by Jasper Ridley. Even the Wall Street Journal blurbed it. Ridley captures the organization's fundamental outlook and its morality. What is more, he is an enchanting storyteller. So this will give me the full history. I'll read a little bit. We're only 6 minutes in. I'm gonna get all 19 in here. What did Mozart and Bach, Oscar Wilde and Anthony Trollope, George Washington and Frederick the Great, Winston Churchill and Franklin D. Roosevelt have in common? Bing, ding, ding. They were all Freemasons. To the layman, they are a mysterious brotherhood of profound, if uncertain influence. A secret society purported in some popular histories to have its roots in the fabled order of the Knights Templar, or in the mysteries of the Egyptian pyramids. They evoke fears of world domination by a select few who enjoy privileged access to wealth and the levers of power. And yes, I said levers because I wanted to. The secrecy of their rites suggests the taint of sacrilege, and their hidden loyalties are sometimes accused of undermining the workings of justice and the integrity of nations. Though not a Mason himself, Jasper Ridley nonetheless refutes many of the outrageous allegations made against Freemasonry, while at the same time acknowledging their shortcomings, their clannishness, misogyny, obsession with secrecy, and devotion to arcane ritual. In this much-needed reassessment that traces Freemasonry from its shrouded origins to the present day, he offers a substantial work of history that finally sifts the truth from the myth. So I'm happy to have that. It sounds like it's going to be a balanced read. You know, nothing, you know, controversial or conspiracy plots, you know, this kind of stuff. That one was $4.95. I'm going to tell you, just so you know. Woo! Okay, next book I got. Ooh, I hadn't seen this for a long time, and for some reason it just appealed to me the day that I was shopping. It's The City of Sedition, The History of New York City During the Civil War by John Strausbaugh. Now, this might be because I was recently reading a mystery series set in pre-Civil War New York, plus a couple of books I've read on the economics of the slave trade and how much New York was really invested in having slavery continue. And then, of course, the riots, the draft riots in 1863, that New York was just really a hotbed. They were not like some Yankee Doodle Dandy, yay, abolitionism. They were not. That city was. At one point, I think they wanted to. There was talk of they wanted to secede from the Union. So, I said, you know, it's about time I just get a book all about New York City during the Civil War and what that was about. Of course, obviously the title says it all, right? City of Sedition. It says no city was more of a help to Abraham Lincoln and the Union war effort, or more of a hindrance. No city raised more men, money, and material for the war, and no city raised more hell against it. It was a city of patriots, war heroes, and abolitionists, but simultaneously a city of anti-war protest, draft resistance, and sedition. Of course, they had abolitionists who lived there for sure, but yeah, money walks, right? And or money talks. And they were very much interested in keeping their ties to the South. So when Civil War came along, they were not happy people. So City of Sedition, History of New York. During the Civil War, that was $5.95. Woo! Oh, and this guy has a new book coming out. I can't wait to get my hands on. This is by Graham Seal. This is The Savage Shore. Extraordinary Stories of Survival and Tragedy from the Early Voyages of Discovery. Yeah, he's got a new book out. I think about the prisoners who went to Australia and how they basically, built Australia and how they colonized it. So I'm really keen on that. This another Yale University Press book, brand new. No remainder marks. It's just, I love HamiltonBook. If they knew I existed, if they only knew how much I support their company, no one knows. I just keep buying their books and talking about them. So this came out in 2016. Yeah, it's so cool. It's about Australia. I've been trying to get more into my Australian history and learn more about them. So for centuries before the arrival in Australia of Captain Cook and the so-called First Fleet in 1788, intrepid seafaring explorers had been searching with varied results for the fabled Great Southland. It remained a matter of colorful myth and cartographical fantasy until the Dutch East India Company started sending ships in the early 17th century. Of course, the new continent was found long before Cook's arrival. In this enthralling history, Graham Seal charts the centuries-long discovery of Australia. He relates enthralling and previously untold legends of survival gleaned from the earliest Dutch, Spanish, Portuguese, French, and Indonesian voyages. Goes into shipwrecks, castaways, murder, Aboriginal encounters, navigational feats, technological and scientific developments, and all this groovy stuff. And I'm really looking forward to his new book as well. So The Savage Shore. That's another one I picked up. Let's see. $6.95. All right, let's see here. I'll try not to get this blasting, fading light of day here on my face. I am really sorry about my hair, guys. I don't know what is happening. Okay. Richard J. Evans, who wrote The Third Reich, right? Those books, which I still want to read. I believe it's the same Richard Evans. I got Eric Hobsbawm, A Life in History, the massive biography on the historian Eric Hobsbawm, who was a communist or socialist or whatever, I've read several book reviews about this biography, and I'm just intrigued. Not that I, obviously. Oh, it even has a little book. It's got a ribbon. That's how big this bio is. Yeah, this is Richard J. Evans, who wrote The Third Reich in Power. So, yeah, I wanted to get this just for the fact that it was Richard J. Evans. And I'm sure he'll do a really good job of just making this interesting, as much as I have, a distaste for people who never learned the lesson over time, how rotten communism is. It's like, really? Anyway, it says here, let's see here. At the time of his death in 2012, at the age of 95, Eric Hobsbawm was the most famous historian in the world. His books were translated into more than 50 languages, and he was well known in Brazil and India as he was in Britain and the United States. His interests stretched across many countries and cultures, ranging from poetry to jazz, literature, and politics. He was a young communist in the Weimar Republic, a radical student in Cambridge, an army conscript, a Soho man about town, a Hampstead intellectual, a Cambridge don, an influential journalist, a world traveler, and finally a grand old man of letters. So, description goes into just his journey, his life, and who his icons were, like, Che and, mass murderers, those people. Yeah, so it'll be interesting. I've never read any of Hobsbawm's work. I don't know if this will make me want to or not, but I enjoy biographies, and if you can see over here, I've got 2 volumes. I've got Hitler, Stalin, Himmler right over there, right there. If I could read about them, I'm sorry, I'm not saying he's like that. I just, yeah, it's about Eric Hobsbawm. That's all I'm gonna say. Richard J. Evans. I mean, that's a plus. All right, I'm sure. I'm sorry. No offense to all you Hobsbawm fans out there. That was the most. Was that the most expensive book? No, but I will. I've got a good one for you, Jason Harrigan. I hope you're watching this because I got a really good one coming up, and that's the most expensive book on this order. So this one was $9.95, but for a brand new biography that's only a couple of years old, maybe if that, $9.95, you can't beat that. Gosh, I don't like this angle. I got doing a double chin thing. You know what? Let's do this for Jason Harrigan right now. Are you ready for this, sir? I'm sure you have this book. I know you have this book, but this is the edition I found over here on this side of the pond. This is by Pindar Press. Been meaning to get this for a while, but then a part of me is like, oh, do I want something so evil in my house? But I know that you are very interested in the man, and I think you know who I'm going to talk about here. It just the cover of this book freaks me out. But I did it. I went and got it. It's the Beast. 666 by The Life of Aleister Crowley by John Simons. It's a nice big oversized book. Like it's like you lay it down, it'll lie down flat. So it's a nice hardcover. It was $14.95. So I just decided to get it before it was all, they wouldn't have it anymore. It's a really lovely edition. Sorry, I'm going to show this. This is for Jason Harrigan, so you can see. Just full-on cloth here. Don't even really need this disturbing cover on it. I'll just have the spine on the side that says, on my shelf. That's all you need to see, right? You don't need to see this guy's bald dome. The only bald dome I want to see is Jason Harrigan's. Because he's a sweetheart. And a man of God. And this was not a man of God, let me just say right about now. Anyway, so I decided to get this. I guess John Simons was Aleister Crowley's literary executor. It says here his biography of Aleister Crowley is the fullest account of the life of this most bizarre Englishman. The present edition has been considerably revised and augmented and will remain the standard work on Crowley. Now, Crowley, Jason, please let me know which way is the correct pronunciation. But I'd like to know if you agree with that, Jason, or is there a better some evil was going on with the autofocus right there. Was there another biography that you find was more authoritative or reliable? Either way, I didn't think Hamilton Book would have this in stock for much longer, so I just decided to plunk down the $15. So that was the most expensive book in this book haul. Okay, now, what should I? Oh boy. All right, I'm gonna stick with 3 questionable, well, 2 very questionable. Why am I doing it? It's so mean. Anyway, I decided to pick this up. This is the memoirs of Grand Admiral Karl Donitz, 10 years and 20 days. So these are his memoirs. A few months ago, as I was reading Soviet Judgment at Nuremberg, and I was interviewing the author. I just became really interested in those who were in the dock, the Nazis who were there on trial. Donitz was one of them. He was sentenced to prison. I forget how long he had a 10-year sentence at Spandau prison. So I mean, he got off very light. But this was this was put out by Naval Institute Press, and Hamilton Book had it. And I love me some Naval Institute Press books. So when I saw that they had this, and it was very, very, very cheap. Let me see how much that one was in case anyone's interested. They might still have this. No, $7.95. So these are his memoirs. Yeah. It says here he wrote these memoirs after serving a 10-year sentence in Spandau prison. But in case you don't know who Grand Admiral Donitz was, obviously he was in the Nazi Navy, or Germany's Navy. He was the commander of Nazi Germany's U-boats throughout the Battle of the Atlantic, and Hitler's successor as head of state for 20 days in 1945. 1945, 20 days. All right, so I picked up that. Yeah, because sometimes you find these just really arcane titles that just come out of nowhere when you're browsing deep in the web pages of Hamilton Book, and yeah, I love finding stuff like that. All right, so this is going to be good. It's a small little paperback, but I have this gentleman's other book, and it was his memoir of his time in Rwanda during the Rwandan genocide. This is by Romeo Dallaire, and this is Waiting for First Light, My Ongoing Battle with PTSD. He wrote Shake Hands with the Devil, and it was about his time heading up the UN security forces during the Rwandan genocide, and what he witnessed and how he tried to stop things. And he was just let down on every side by every government as he is watching just horrific. You can't even imagine what this man saw, not to mention what those people went through. I mean, that in itself is a whole nother category. But as someone who was there wanting to help, and he couldn't, he was hamstrung. And yeah, no wonder. I mean, this guy obviously did have PTSD for what he saw. It says here in this piercing memoir, Romeo Dallaire, retired general, former senator, and award-winning author of Shake Hands with the Devil, deeply probes his life since the Rwandan genocide. In these pages, Dallaire reflects on the nature of post-traumatic stress disorder and the impact of that deep wound on his life, and how he motivates himself and others to humanitarian work despite his constant struggle. The injury Dallaire sustained during his mission led to the three-star general's medical dismissal from the Canadian Forces in April 2000, a blow that almost killed him. I wasn't aware of his injury. Fighting his way out of that dark hole has been a decades-long battle, but throughout he has championed solutions to prevent mass atrocities, eradicate the use of child soldiers, advance the treatment of PTSD for veterans and their families, revolutionize officer training to prepare soldiers for the complexities of modern conflict, and challenge our thinking about the changing nature of conflict itself. Waiting for First Light is an emotional account of suffering, endurance, and the fight for a better world. So, God bless you. So, yeah, I definitely wanted to get that. Let's see here. That was only $3.95. What? Just digging in my box of goodies. Santa's box of books over here. Going along again with my love of all things Civil War, but also been into Polish history a lot lately. So combine the two together, and we've got Sons of the White Eagle in the American Civil War. Divided Poles in a Divided Nation by Mark F. Bielski. And maybe some of you know, maybe some of you don't know, but my last name ends in ski. So there you have it. I'm German, according to my father, but I would like to do a DNA test, just because I think the town that my grandfather was born in at one point probably was Poland. I don't know. It's a town called Witkow. But anyway, I'm supposedly German, but my last name ends in a ski. So there you have it. but I am just really enamored with the history of Poland and the Polish people, and would love to read about this unit. Although, yeah, in the American Civil War, so they fought on both sides apparently here. And we had some glare there, but here are some of the. Wait a minute, Nathan Bedford Forrest was Polish. What's happening here? I don't think so. That can't be right. No, I don't believe that. But maybe he had a. Let's see. Sons of the White Eagle follows the exploits of Poles who participated in the Civil War. They span 3 generations and are connected by culture, nationality, and adherence to their principles and ideals. The common thread that runs through their lives, the Polish White Eagle, is that they came from a country that had basically disintegrated at the end of the previous century, yet they carried the concepts of freedom they inherited from their forefathers with them to the New World. Ooh, this is good. Okay, I'm just going to read a little bit more. The first group had fought in the 1830 War for freedom from the Russian Empire. The European revolutionary struggles of the 1840s molded the next generation. The 2 of the youngest generation came of age just as the Civil War began, entered military service as enlisted men, and finished as officers. Of the group, 4 sided with the North and 4 with the South, and the other began in the Confederate cavalry and finished fighting for the Union side. All but 1 came from aristocratic backgrounds. Oh, you gotta tell me more. All right, I have to jump ahead. On the table of contents, see if I can find out who's who. Oh, Ystromky, okay. Now, why did they have these pictures of Nathan Bedford Forrest? Yeah, I've got to figure out why they did that. Because the names in the table of contents, those are definitely not anything you recognize, right? You know. Okay, so this book is put out by wonderful people at Casemate, and I just happened to find this book on the Hamilton book. It came out in, 27 minutes. Came out in 2016. $6.95. That's right. I'm gonna give you a price for everything. All right. Ooh, this looks so good, you guys. This is the dark side of the Enlightenment. Wizards, alchemists, and spiritual seekers in the Age of Reason by John B. Fleming. Again, Hamilton book is great. You know, Book Outlet, now that I think about it, all their books have remainder marks. Hamilton does not. I mean, they're just brand new. They're just beautiful. I'm telling you. But, okay. See, in The Dark Side of the Enlightenment, John B. Fleming shows how the impulses of the European Enlightenment, generally associated with great strides in the liberation of human thought from superstition and traditional religion, were challenged by tenacious religious ideas or channeled into the darker pursuits of the esoteric and the occult. His engaging topics include the stubborn survival of the miraculous, the Enlightenment roles of Rosicrucianism and Freemasonry, and the widespread pursuit of magic and alchemy. It goes on. I've got about 6-7 more books I need to show you. So, yeah, so this one was put out by Norton. Oh, that's a beautiful spine too. I love the artwork. It's beautiful. Oh, I have the other book by John Fleming. I thought that name was familiar. He also has a book called The Anti-Communist Manifestos, 4 books that shaped the Cold War. I have that, of course I do. This came out in 2013. So, The Dark Side of the Enlightenment. Oh yeah, this one was another one that it's still worth the money. It was $9.95. I decided. Couldn't really find it anywhere cheaper, and it's brand new. I don't have to buy it used anywhere. There's no remainder marks. It's beautiful. Oh, another Casemate book that I found. Oh, yes. Been wanting a book about this guy because he was in cahoots with Benedict Arnold and Peggy, his wife. You know, Peggy Shippen, I believe. And she, I think, was courted by this guy. I think there was a little triangle here at one point, but then she chose Benedict. Who am I talking about? If you know your revolutionary history, you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about John Andre. This is the life of John Andre, the redcoat who turned Benedict Arnold. Betrayal and Sacrifice in the Revolutionary War by D.A.B. Ronald. Wow, okay, so that's like 2 subtitles, but up here and down here, okay? But yeah, this was put out by Casemate. And this book came out, oh, okay, just 2019, so it's only a couple years old. Yeah. Let's see. It says here, hard fought in every respect, the Revolutionary War inevitably involved subterfuge and betrayal, the best known of which is the turning of Benedict Arnold by a young, brilliant British officer, Major John Andre. In this gripping new biography, D.A.B. Ronald explores John Andre's personality and motivation to examine his unique contribution to the British war effort in America and understand why he chose to sacrifice himself. Yes, of course they mentioned Peggy Shippen in the Dust Jacket copy. Yeah, I think he was courting her at one point, right? Anyway, it's fascinating stuff. So, the life of John Andre, folks. Good stuff from Casemate. Life of John Andre. Gonna sing for you, $6.95. Oh, I should have shown this when I showed you his memoirs. Well, okay, I thought that there was another one I got by him. Yeah, I got 2 books on Karl Donitz. So I have his memoirs, right? But they also had this book, which just looks like a great, just a general history, popular history. And this is Karl Donitz and the Last Days of the Third Reich, by Barry Turner. Forward by Admiral of the Fleet, Lord Boyce. So this just give me a little bit more straight history on what happened at the end there and what Donitz was doing at the very end before he was captured. So this was first published in the UK in 2015. Yes. It says here, among the military leaders of the Second World War, Grand Admiral Karl Donitz remains a deeply enigmatic figure. As chief of the German submarine fleet, he earned Allied respect as a formidable enemy, but after he succeeded Hitler, to whom he was unquestioningly loyal, I can't speak, as head of the Third Reich, his name became associated with all that was most hated in the Nazi regime. Yet Donitz deserves credit for ending the war quickly while trying to save his compatriots in the East. His Dunkirk-style operation across the Baltic rescued up to 2 million troops and civilian refugees. I did not know that. Historian Barry Turner argues that while Donitz can never be dissociated from the evil done under the Third Reich, his contribution to the war must be acknowledged in its entirety in order to properly understand the conflict. So it's supposed to be a very even-handed portrait of Nazi Germany's last leader, and it's supposed to be very readable, compellingly readable. It's got this will be a fast read. Can you tell by the big type and the big leading between the spacing between the sentences? There's a lot of air in this book, probably to pad it out a bit, but yeah, so I picked it up, you know, because how much was it? It was $6.95. Oh, and then we have some religion stuff I picked up here, I think, yeah. Okay, maybe I'll save those for last. Okay, guys, we're down to the last few books here. I hope you're enjoying this. I'm just saying. So this guy writes for National Review, and I used to have a subscription to National Review, and then I realized I just don't have time to read a lot of this stuff, and then I got really sick of politics for a long time. But this guy's kind of acid-tongued, and I kind of appreciate his humor from time to time, which can be crass, but pretty honest and accurate. That's Kevin D. Williamson, and I appreciate this cover. The smallest minority, independent thinking in the age of mob politics. Dropping bombs, dropping Twitter bombs, baby. This is put up by Regnery. I like some of the praise for the book. A lot of people are calling him unemployable, an ogre, truly reprehensible. It's not a memoir. He reflects on something that happened with him at the Atlantic when he wrote for the Atlantic. I'll just read it real quick. Reader beware, Kevin D. Williamson, the lively literary firebrand from National Review, who was too hot for the Atlantic to handle, comes to bury democracy, not to praise it. With electrifying honesty and spirit, Williamson takes the flamethrower to mob politics, the beast with many heads that haunts social media and what currently passes for real life. It's destroying our capacity for individualism and dragging us down the road to smurfdom. You like that? Smurfdom. The place where the deracinated demos of the Twitter age finds itself feeling small and blue. The smallest minority is by no means a memoir, though Williamson does reflect on that tawdry little episode, in quotes, with the Atlantic, in which he became all too intimately acquainted with mob outrage and the forces of tribalism. Rather, this book is a dizzying tour through a world you'll be horrified to recognize as your own. With biting appraisals of social media, political hustlers, I'm not going to read some of these quotes, journalists, and identity politics, The Smallest Minority is a defiant, funny, and terrifyingly insightful book about what we human beings have done to ourselves. So, you know what? Might be good, might give me a laugh, I might be nodding my head. Who knows? It was super cheap, so I picked it up. And when it first came out, I was like, well, that sounds interesting, but I wasn't willing to pay $20 for it. You know what I'm saying? I normally don't read stuff like that. But I do like some of his pieces that I've read in the past for National Review. $6.95. All right. Oh, okay. Okay, so the rest are all somewhat related to Bible or Christianity. This one is interesting. Another Yale University Press Fund, you guys. This just sounds so intriguing. Reform Catholicism and the International Suppression of the Jesuits in Enlightenment Europe by Dale K. Van Clay. Again, Yale book, right? Just a no bones cover. Just look at that. It's just, again, no remainder marks. It's beautiful. I do need to read what this is for you. The Jesuits devoted themselves to preaching the Word of God, administering the sacraments, and spreading the faith by missions in both Europe and newly discovered lands abroad. But in 1773, under intense pressure from the monarchs of Europe, the papacy suppressed the Society of Jesus, an act that reverberated from Europe to the Americas and Southeast Asia. In this scholarly history, Dale Van Clay argues that Reformed Catholicism, not a secular enlightenment, provided the justification for Catholic kings to suppress a society solemnly approved by the papacy. Spanning the years from the mid-16th century to the onset of the French Revolution and the Jesuit presence from China to Brazil, this is the only single volume in English to make coherent sense of the series of expulsions that add up to what was arguably the most important religious event in Europe of the time, resulting in the secularization of tens of thousands of Jesuits. So this is a history that is going to be brand new to me. I have that massive work by Malachi Martin, the Jesuits, his history of the Jesuits, but I have not read anything about how Reformed Catholicism figured into that, so I'm intrigued, and so I picked it up. This one might have been $9.95 too, but let me see here for you. $6.95. Okay, so this one, I've heard of it before a while ago. I never picked it up. It's put out by Harper One. This is the Exodus, How It Happened and Why It Matters by Richard Elliott Friedman. I was aware that he wrote the Who Wrote the Bible. It's like a detective story. I think they might have made a Netflix or documentary about it or something like that, but losing the light. Biblical scholars, Egyptologists, archaeologists, historians, literary scholars, anthropologists, and filmmakers are drawn to the mystery of the Exodus. Unable to find physical evidence until now, many archaeologists and scholars claim this mass migration is just a story, not history. Others oppose this conclusion, defending the biblical account. Let's see. So, like he's like a detective on the case. He basically goes in search of all this kind of stuff. Anyway, I just picked it up. I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep this from going super long. So I picked up that as well. $5.95. Then I got another little book on the Reformation. I've read Benjamin Weicker, some of his books before, so I just decided it's a little slim volume. It's the Reformation, 500 years later. 12 things you need to know. Just something to bone up on again. If anyone were to say, why is the Reformation important? Maybe this will be just a fun little read that'll kind of refresh my memory on some of these things. But again, and I've read Benjamin Weicker's other stuff, so yeah, I'm kind of down with that. It's by Regnery History. Okay, I'm just gonna zoom through that one. That was $7.95. Last book, you guys. Last book. This is the Memoirs of St. Peter, a new translation of my favorite gospel, the Gospel of Mark. Gospel according to Mark, and this is by Michael Pekulak. So, another Regnery book. Okay, so let's see here. At a distance of 20 centuries, the figure of Jesus of Nazareth can seem impossibly obscure. Indeed, some skeptics even question whether he existed. And yet we have an eyewitness account of his life, death, and resurrection from one of his closest companions, the fisherman Simon Bar-Jonah, better known as the Apostle Peter. Writers from the earliest days of the church tell us that Peter's disciple Mark wrote down the apostle's account of the life of Jesus as he told it to the first Christians in Rome. The vivid, detailed, unadorned prose of the Gospel of Mark conveys the unmistakable immediacy of a first-hand account. And that's one of the big reasons why I love the Gospel of Mark. For most readers, however, this immediacy is hidden behind a veil of Greek, the language of the New Testament writers. Four centuries of English translations have achieved nobility of cadence, or more recently, idiomatic accessibility. But the voice of Peter himself has never fully emerged, until now. In the strikingly original translation, attentive to Peter's concern to show what it was like to be there, and that's in italics, Michael Pekulak captures the tone and texture of the fisherman's evocative account, leading the reader to a bracing new encounter with Jesus. So I'm really excited for this one. And it gives you an accompanying verse-by-verse commentary, and gives you a sense of being an eyewitness. So let's see here. Yeah, it breaks up. Let's see. I'm just going to try to show you like what it looks like. Like say chapter 1 of Mark, and like verses 9 to 11 or whatever. Okay. So I'm looking forward to it. I haven't read Mark in a while. I've been reading like the book of Jeremiah. I tend to jump. I like to go read a book of the New Testament, then go back to the Old Testament, then go back to the New. But it's time to read Mark again. I love Mark. So this is the Memoirs of St. Peter. And that wraps up my Hamilton book haul. And I didn't need to make 2 videos, although you might have wished I had. It's 44 minutes. What can I say? Memoirs of St. Peter. $7.95. All right, guys. Well, let me know what you think of all these books. I'm going to need to find space on the shelves over here and take off some of the older books. This was the penultimate Hamilton book haul. There's one that's even bigger, and that one's still to come. So stay tuned to the history shelf, because we always have more books here. You know it, I know it, the world knows it, Martine knows it. So anyway, have a good one, BookTube. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.